Yes, sir, we are live and recording.
Very good. Thank you, Troy. Everyone, let's please come to order. And please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, turning to the county attorney for certification of the agenda.
Yes, sir. The county attorney's office has reviewed all items on the agenda. The board has appropriate jurisdiction over these items, and where necessary, appropriate posting has been made.
Thank you, Counselor. Commissioners' disclosure for any items on this agenda.
I have none, thank you.
Nor do I. Thank you, Commissioner. Let's get right into our land use meeting. Our first item up is Highlands View Estates First Amendment Approval Extension. Project file is XT2024-004. Brett Thomas, AICP Chief Planner.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Brett Thomas representing Planning Services. Project before you is an approval extension for Highland View Estates First Amendment, project number XT 2024-004. Request is for an extension to the recordation period. The applicant requests a one-year extension to the approval until August 8th, 2025. As depicted on the map, the site is located south of Bluffs Regional Park, west of South Ridge Preserve Development within the city of Lone Tree, and east of MacArthur Ranch subdivision. Subdivision resolution allows the director to grant a time extension for plat recordation up to 1 year. In this case, the director granted an extension through August 8th, 2024. Further extensions may be granted by the Board of County Commissioners at a public meeting upon written request by the applicant. Based on the standards for an extension of a plat recordation extension to August 8th, 2025, subject to the four original conditions of approval, may be approved by the board. The applicant indicates that the additional time is needed to obtain the required lender signature on the plat exhibit. This concludes staff's presentation. I'm available to take questions at this time.
Thank you, Brett. Questions from the board?
Thank you, Brett. When I read this package, it looks like there is a Bank of Omaha they're having trouble figuring out who to sign that. Is that actually in Omaha and that's part of the problem?
Correct. It got held up at the title company for a while. Someone left there. I believe they got the title signature, but now they're having the same issue with the bank. So,
Okay. Is there any reason why you two over there think we should not approve this?
no.
Jeanette? The expert
Jeanette
resident?
Bear for staff. No, this is pretty typical. Applicants run into trouble getting the lender signatures more often than probably one would want to see. So this is pretty typical. We have no concerns.
As long as the lender gets their money, that's all they're worried about, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I have no other questions.
Thank you, Commissioner. I have no questions, Brett. Thank you very much. Let's go ahead and open this up for public comment. Is there anyone who would like to make public comment on this extension request? And seeing none in the room, Troy, do we have anybody to speak in public comment on this extension request?
Thank you, Commissioner. I have no online comment.
All right, thank you, Troy. Turning back to the board, how would the board like to dispose of this request for an extension?
I have a motion to approve Highland View Estates First Amendment Approval Extension, Project File XT 2024-004.
I will second. Any discussion?
I have none.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And the extension is approved. Moving on to 6359 Airport Road, Colorado Scottish Festival Major Entertainment Event. Project file is EE2024-004. Matt Jablonski, Chief Planner, Community Development, presenting for staff. And Matt, I totally hosed your name, didn't I?
That's quite all right. It's
See,
not
this is the
easiest name in the
problem.
world. Yeah.
This is the problem when we meet face to face and we're on first name basis. So,
That is
Matt
okay.
Jacobowski, presenting for staff.
Thank you, Commissioner Teal. Good afternoon, Commissioners Teal and Thomas. Matt Jacobowski, representing Planning Services. The item before you is a request for a major entertainment event at 6359 Airport Road. The project number is EE 2024-004. Heather Miller is here on behalf of the Colorado Scottish Festival. The applicant is requesting a major entertainment event for the Colorado Scottish Festival, August 3rd and 4th, for up to 1,500 persons per day. The same festival was held on the same site last year. Both of you may remember that. The event is to run on Saturday from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. and Sunday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. The festival will feature cultural activities, music, dancing, food, drink, and other goods vendors with, of course, the Scottish flair of the Scottish Festival. One main musical act is proposed for Saturday evening from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. The intent of the major entertainment event process is to provide for the orderly control of entertainment events. In this case, the event meets the criteria of a major entertainment event, which requires approval by the Board of County Commissioners. The major entertainment event process is outlined on this slide. No comments were received from members of the public that received abutting property owner notices, nearby residents, or residents specifically to the south of the site in Banbury Cross, which is a community directly adjacent to the site. Referral agency comments were related to permits and inspections. The applicant has been approved by South Metro Fire for a special event permit. Colorado State Patrol has delegated traffic control to the Douglas County Sheriff, as there's not an impact to the Highway 85 and Airport Road intersection. Therefore, the applicant has communicated with the sheriff, and as I understand it, there's a verbal commitment for some uniform traffic control at Louviers Boulevard and Airport Road. The applicant is also working with the County Traffic Division as part of the engineering department to confirm directional signage in the festival that may be in the right-of-way is not coming into some kind of conflict with the site distance needed in those places. Engineering also supports traffic control at Louviers and Airport Road. Electrical permits are required from the county building department prior to the event. The applicant is in the process of confirming retail food service licenses for vendors that will be at the festival and has contacted the health department regarding guidelines for hand washing stations and portalettes. Following the board's decision, the applicant will be required to obtain any permits, inspections, or other approvals leading up to the event, and the applicant can provide any status to those conversations that I'm not aware of. This site is marked by the red star on this map and is located in northwest Douglas County. Oops, I have to go back to that. As you can see, there's the red star. This zoning map shows the location of the site, which is just a little bit south, about a half mile from the intersection of Airport Road and Louviers Boulevard. Most of the residences around the site are large lot single family. About a quarter mile south of Airport Road, the site becomes, Airport Road, Louviers Boulevard, I'm sorry, becomes basically a private easement for the Banbury Cross subdivision. Zooming in on the site, you can see that the festival will be on the west side of the existing polo fields here. Parking is proposed just west of the polo fields. There will be staff providing security and parking entry services to the site. As background, the festival was held on this same site in 2023. The board approved that event for the same number of attendees, a Saturday and Sunday festival. Previous to that, there have been several other entertainment events beginning in 2017 through 2019, and in 2022, there was a break for a year before the Scottish Festival came. This exhibit shows a detailed view of the event layout. The parking area has approximately 1,600 parking spaces that should more than accommodate the proposed guests for the festival. On the north side of the festival grounds, there are also a few areas for accessible parking and for drop-off from any kind of taxi or other rideshare service. The middle of the festival has a stage area where the main act will be, as well as some of the dancing and piping competitions. Vendors and others are further to the north. The entrance site is up here at the north, and of course there's a walking path that will be lit toward the evening hours for safe access for folks coming from the parking. This slide lists the approval standards for a major entertainment event. Staff's assessment of these standards is discussed within the staff report, pages 6 and 7. Staff has evaluated the application in accordance with Section 22B of the Douglas County zoning resolution. Should the board find that the approval standards for a major entertainment event are met, the following proposed conditions should be considered for inclusion in the motion. Condition number 1, the major entertainment event permit is approved for August 3rd and 4th, 2024, as described in the staff report and attached narrative. Proof of inspections, permits, approvals, and agreements from all applicable agencies and county departments shall be submitted prior to the start of the event. Condition number 2, if the applicant proposes significant changes to the duration of the event or the number of participants, a new entertainment event permit approval may be required at the discretion of the county. Condition number 3, the applicant shall meet all South Metro Fire permit requirements and shall pass all on-site inspections prior to commencement of the entertainment event. Condition number 4, prior to final permit issuance, all building and electrical permits shall be obtained by the applicant, and the applicant shall pass all on-site inspections required by the Douglas County Building Division. Condition number 5, prior to final permit issuance, copies of valid CDPHE retail food establishment licenses for all vendors shall be forwarded to Douglas County. Condition number 6, prior to final event permit issuance, the applicant shall provide evidence of an approved contract for services from the Douglas County Sheriff's Office for traffic control if required. And I understand the applicant will be undergoing that contract. And condition number 7, all commitments and promises made by the applicant or the applicant's representative during the public meeting and or agreed to in writing and included in the public record have been relied upon by the Board of County Commissioners in approving the application. Therefore, such approval is conditioned upon the applicant's satisfaction of all such commitments and promises. The parameters for the board's decision on a major entertainment event permit are listed on this slide. This concludes staff's presentation. I'm available for any questions you may have on the staff report. Otherwise, we have Heather Miller on behalf of the Scottish Festival, and they have a presentation as well.
All right, thank you, Matt. Questions for staff?
So Matt, and I think it's Jay Kubowski, did I get it right after
That's
all these
right.
years? Okay.
Rub it in, rub it in.
I've had 4 more years to
That's
practice.
okay.
Jay Kubowski. Isn't there a process where someone can get like a 5-year license instead of having to come back every year? Or am I confused?
No, that's correct. There is a possibility if an applicant requests it to request for 5 years, and so far the Scottish Festival has just requested 1 year. So if they were to continue proceeding on this site, they could request a multi-year event next year.
Okay, I remember when the Scottish Festival used to be at Lincoln in Quebec at Highlands Heritage Park, and I don't live too far from there, and I could hear it, and I always enjoyed it. But I was just trying to figure out if there was a way, and they were aware of this, to save themselves some time and effort. That's all. Thank you.
Right.
I have no other questions.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. I have no questions. The board is happy to hear from the applicant or property owner, and/or property owner.
You're going to do mine? I'll do that. We'll see if I'm coordinated enough.
Do you want me to pull up the video right now then?
Sure.
And you'll need to introduce yourself and everything. But,
And where did the...
I don't have the PowerPoint up because I have to pull the video up.
Okay,
first, but-
do that first.
Okay. So commissioners, I have a video from the applicant that I'm going to play that's about 45 seconds or so, just to start things off. And
And if I were a Highland dancer, which I still am, but I'm not dressed for it, you would end with a bow. So,
Hey, click out.
there we go. So for those of you who've seen it before, Laura, thank you so much for your comment. Since I moved to Colorado in '88, I have attended the Highland Games here, specifically in Highlands Ranch, and my children have grown up attending the games all over the state, all over the country, and we have a long, proud history for the Colorado Scottish Festival. As you can see here, we are an event of the St. Andrew Society of Colorado. We have been around since 1963. This is our 60th event. We only missed 1 year consecutively due to, all those known pandemic things. And we're here today to just give you a little bit of the background and overview of what we like to accomplish at the Games. Next slide is for me. Let's see. I'm used to being in meetings where someone says, next slide, and it's not me. So we are celebrating our 60th. As you can see on the left, that is a picture of my father, who was in bagpipe bands. His parents, my grandparents, came from Scotland. And that picture is from 1963, when I was a wee lass in New Hampshire. And when I moved to Colorado, I became involved with all the pipe bands around here and performed as a Highland dancer with the bands, with the Rocky Mountain Highland Dancers. I've been involved with the society for many years. It's such a positive, family-friendly activity. You get strangers from all over the place attending the games, and it's a big family reunion. And that's how, because people know they've got this in common and they come. So we're happy to be bringing it back to our long relationship with Douglas County. When we were in Highlands Ranch, we were there for 26 years. And there is a longer video that Matt and I decided was a bit too long for this session. We don't want to keep you here all afternoon. But it's a nice history by the two people who were paramount to that Games in Highlands Ranch for all that time, and they talk about being, how we've moved around, how the history has evolved from a picnic, etc. But anyway, we can send you the link if you'd like to view it at another time at your leisure. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. We are not a religious organization. St. Andrew is the patron saint of Scotland, and long stories behind that. We have lots of tales to tell with our music, with our history, with our culture. We do a lot of, the mission for the society is to educate and to hold traditional and innovative Scottish Highland Games. Over the years, were called Rocky Mountain Highland Games. Everybody around the country called them the Denver Games because that's the city we were closest to. We evolved into the Colorado Scottish Festival because it was more identifiable for people who don't know what a Highland Games is. I like to keep it on the back of my explanation of what's going on. We do have no paid staff. We are all volunteers. We have a tremendously dedicated group. Very few of our committee are here today, but we probably have about 20 people on the committee that work year-round to especially right now, to make the games happen. A lot going on behind the scenes because we've got competitions, as you can see. So we did start in Golden. Our games have pretty much always been in August. There was a time they were in September, which was a little bit kind of nicer weather, but somehow Estes Park worked their way in there and got the September sweet spot. We moved to Highland Heritage Regional Park after some years with all the changes and competition going on. We ended up being invited to go up to Snowmass Village, which made it truly a Highland Games. And we found that we were too far away from all our friends, so we came back to Metro Denver. Personally, I haven't quantifiably researched it, but I do believe that we are the only games that are actually, or used to be, in the metropolitan area. So now with the Polo Club, we are a little bit out of town at a beautiful location with room to grow, and we've had different challenges, I think, over the years that other games around the country have not had, which is where do you find parking in the city? How do you work with Parks and Rec, et cetera, et cetera. But, and then at Snowmass, of course, we were probably the highest games in the world, which our athletes really kind of gave us some guff about. It's hard to throw those capers up at 9,000 or 10,000 feet. So last year, we were able to relocate. We outgrew our little cute green park in Edgewater, right near Sloan's Lake up there on Sheridan and 20th, and we came across Erica and her lovely venue, which reminded us a great deal of where they hold the games, kind of places in Scotland. So we've worked out a beautiful partnership with the Polo Club, and last year went really well, so we're excited to be back. For those who have been at the games, they are traditional. We have what we call the heavy athletics. It is the men in kilts and women in kilts who are throwing cabers, throwing lots of other heavy things, and it's very impressive. And really, it is what the games themselves are about. Even in Scotland, we've added, of course, the Highland dance competitions and piping and drumming, so very quintessentially Scottish, of course. Music, et cetera, et cetera. We will have haggis, we will have dogs, we will have cars, and last year we were able to get the double-decker bus. They'll be back this year. It used to be that we used buses when we were at Highlands Ranch to shuttle people from one of the schools down to the park. The bus is not in that great condition for taking people all over the place anymore, so it's more of let's go up top and see what it's like to be on it. So that works out fine for everyone. Tartan information, of course, about your clans. We've got the Wren Scots, who are an historical and reenactment group, and VIP experience. Saturday evening, we'll be having what we're calling a mini tattoo in Ceilidh. So we've got some pipe bands and dancers, as well as a Ceilidh group that will be performing for a couple hours in the evening. And it wouldn't be Scottish without whiskey. And drink responsibly. So we've got some really nice whiskeys to taste. We have some great sponsors on that. We also have a Scottish gin, which you wouldn't know, but apparently gin is now outpacing whiskey as the biggest export from Scotland. Gin's very popular. We have submitted and updated our general operational plan. Our insurance is something that all the games around the country use through CALIF. This year we're using national security for overnight 24/7 on-site security. We also will have committee volunteers and the Young Marines orchestrating and directing our parking. They did very well on that last year, and we're happy to come back for that. And the Young Marines do it as a community service. They volunteer for us. Over the years, it has gotten to be harder to have volunteers, and we find that we've had to pay more and more services to do some of the work that needs to happen to hold an event of this size or larger. The Optimist Club has been with us for quite a number of years, and they're bonded and available for our cash management and admissions. They've done really well with that. We have radios for communications, and we coordinate very closely with our EMS and security, et cetera. We've ramped up some of that this year for crowd control and making sure that we've got our kind of emergency protocols in place. I actually was down at the Botanic Gardens for a concert last month, and there were some massive thunderstorms that came through. And I was really impressed by their their temporary evacuation procedures. So it's something that we could emulate if that needs to happen. Definitely keep our eye on the weather this time of year. We have a field guide that lists all of our contacts, and we make sure that everyone gets the procedures. We post it online. We have printed copies. It's available for our guests and attendees, et cetera, as well as all our volunteers and our security partners and emergency service partners. Our directing of traffic, we do have signs. They're going to be similar to last year for the right-of-way. I think the last thing to do with the building or the engineering and building is to just make sure that they've got the same copy of information we've sent over to Douglas County Sheriff. I have been working, well, I'll have that on a different slide. And as mentioned, we do have ADA and rideshare drop-off and pickup. So we want to make it accessible and convenient for people. Once you get down the little hill there onto the grounds, it's very level and super accessible, I would say. We have golf carts to transport those who are less, mobile. And there's another word for it, and I forget it right now. But we like to help people get around and bring in and out anything that they need on the grounds to their tents or to their cars. So I think we ended up getting more golf carts this year. Let's see. The referral response, as I mentioned, we've got our electrical and building services. We've been in touch with Greg Lillimars. I think there's just one bit of information that Greg wants from our electrician who is registered with Douglas County. And as of last night, Dirk and I were talking about generators, and I think he was all set today to make sure that the specs for everything that we were going to have on site were sent over to Greg. The Department of Transportation, again this year, we're not going to have anything on 85 in Santa Fe. I would like to at some point, but it's a cost we couldn't support this year. So as we hopefully have a successful event, we'll be able to do that next year. Douglas County Health Department, we've been in actually constant contact with Jessica, and we've got Erica here today. Somewhere. Oh, different Erica. Never mind. We have another Erica for the vendors and the food and craft vendors, and she's been working diligently with Jessica. We've got one last food vendor who I think needs to send in one other form that and yeah. So working out that one. And he was here last year, so I know they know what to do. Sometimes it's just that busy with the rest of their business and getting ready for here. Portalets, we did add a portalet based on the referral. I think it was Deanna, maybe, from the health department, or somebody. Was it Jessica? So we did increase the number of portalets and wash stands a little bit, and we'll have, as we did last year, water for bottled water. And then dust mitigation. We like to control that level of traffic and how fast people are cruising along the dirt roads down there, especially when it's dry. Engineering and sheriffs, I have been in touch with Ron Hanahan. He sent me an invoice, which I believe we've paid, so I'll get that over to Matt, so he's got a copy of it. And I didn't think I was going to get an actual, well, did he send me? I can't remember now if he sent me an actual signed approval permit. But, and then the special event permit, I'm thinking might be needed over at Engineering Services, which is just their other side of that right-of-way signage and what they want to see. But we've got it all in place, and that'll just take a little bit to send over to them. So I expect that to be done this week. South Metro Fire District, our permit approval has been completed. We've got inspections that will be held on August 1st, as with the other departments, and which is Friday, right before the weekend. No. Oh, I put the wrong date, didn't I? Friday, August 2nd. So I will fix that. And then the SMFR had a new operations permit for mobile food vendors, and we're finalizing some of that because that was a new step and process this week, or this year. I know it's kind of small, but that is our map, and so when we send a good copy of it, you can zoom in and see where the signage is, and we keep it out of the way of traffic. It was, as Matt was mentioning, we haven't had any neighbors complain about the amount of signage, and it's sufficient to get people to and from the location pretty safely without issues. And there's a little closer look in. This is our signage from last year, so there might be some dates on there that are have last year's dates, but we'll do the same thing, basically. Give it a little bit of there. And that's kind of it. I want to thank you for letting us present again and let me yammer on about all, I could go on all day. And we've all been going long days right now. And we had a super successful event last year. Erica is welcoming us back to their venue, and we would like to do the multi-year next year. I didn't do it in time this year. We may end up changing our weekend so that we're not in conflict with the Douglas County Fair and the last weekend of Renfest. So we used to have it on the second weekend, and then we moved to get away from those conflicts, and then now we're back where we were because people changed their dates. So we'll fix those up. We expect to be at the Polo Club for a long time, as long as Erica will have us, and I expect the festival to grow. So each year we might have those nuances. We do a debrief, see how we do the one year, and then we figure out if we're going to grow and what it's going to take to grow. Ultimately, we submit for grant applications with SCFD, which has supported us in years past, and I put in a big ask for next year because we want to bring in some of the exciting and fabulous international musical acts that from Scotland in particular that we don't get to see in Colorado very often. And but to do that, we need more money to get that kind of seed money in, so people start thinking of the event in that way as well. But that's what I've got for today. I appreciate you all having us, and I think I butchered Matt's last name more than you did, George.
Thank goodness.
Then I think I had one more slide. So this is actually our Scottish King's Gin, a sponsor, and a gentleman up in Boulder who makes gin in Scotland, and he's very generous with his tent and with his gin for us as a fundraiser. Everything that we do at the Games is nonprofit, and it's a fundraiser for us so that we can hold the competitions and have them again the next year. So we do hope to see you there, and if you can make it, make sure you track us down and try some of the whiskey, gin, haggis, and other non-alcoholic beverages as you need to.
Well, thank you very much, ma'am. That was a comprehensive report, and very much appreciate that. Questions from the board for the applicant?
I have none, thank you.
I have none either. I think that was a very comprehensive presentation. Okay, so let's go ahead and see if we have any public comment. Is there anyone who would like to make public comment on this matter? Seeing none in the room. Troy, is there anyone for public comment online?
I have no online public comment.
Okay, thank you, Troy. Turning back to the applicant, ma'am, I counted 7 conditions. Did you get 7 conditions, Commissioner? You have 7 conditions as a part of this event permit. Do you accept all 7 conditions? Do you need to review them again?
I accept all the conditions. I don't think we'll have a problem wrapping those up, and I'll be sure and also make sure I square up with Matt.
Very good. Thank you, ma'am. Very much appreciated. Okay. How would the board like to dispose of this permit request?
I have a motion to approve a major entertainment event for the Colorado Scottish Festival at 6359 Airport Road because it does meet all of the approval criteria with 7 conditions as presented. Project file EE 2024-004.
So seeing you all here, I just cannot resist telling you the story of the worst joke my mother-in-law heard from me several times before she passed away. And we were going to the Shakespeare Festival up in Boulder, and it was Macbeth. And my mother-in-law asked, what's the play we're going and seeing this weekend? And I said, oh yeah, it's a play about horrible events, these barbaric people, warlike people that live on the north end of this great big island. Yeah, it's called Macbeth. And she said, no, that's Scotland. And I said, right. Because I'm Irish. Whereas, because I do very much appreciate the preservation of our Celtic heritage being brought here to Douglas County, I second as well. Any need for discussion?
I have none.
I have no need either. There's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And it is approved. Thanks, guys. This is going to be great.
Please come by. We hope to see you, and thank you very much.
Tell us again the dates.
August 3rd and 4th, Saturday, Sunday. So
Okay. First weekend in August.
Yep, not next
Okay.
weekend, but the next.
Very cool. All right. Thank you all so much. Very much appreciated.
Thank you very much.
And congratulations. I go with, I'm good with Irish, Scottish. My kids grew up with the bagpipes. Yeah? All right. Well, we'll go with it, We're all Celts. It's cool. All right. Well, moving with that very happy note, let's move along to our public hearing. We have second and final reading for the amended ordinance to limit the unloading of commercially transported passengers in unincorporated Douglas County, Colorado. Jeff Garcia, County Attorney, presenting.
Thank you, Commissioners. This is second reading of an amendment to an existing ordinance. On April 2nd, 2024, the board adopted an ordinance that precluded the unscheduled unloading of passengers at undesignated areas in the county. It is one of a kind in the state, and it is fairly unique in the country. Following that adoption, the town of Castle Rock asked the Sheriff's Department to enforce the ordinance in the town. They have enacted a IGA with the county, which will be in place for the rest of the year with the option of renewing for more years at the end of the year. The amount of that will be $50,000 the remainder of the year, with that price to be changed and altered if it continues to be used. That is set by law. Colorado Revised Statute 29-123 permits a town or municipality to make such an agreement with the county. There have been two minor changes to allow this kind of IGA agreement. Castle Rock's ordinance, or Castle Rock's adoption and use of the IGA will take immediate effect, and all municipalities in Douglas County will have that option as well. So the two changes, change number one is to remove the limiting jurisdiction from just unincorporated Douglas County to what is defined as a restricted area. The restricted area will include unincorporated Douglas County, but also will permit local governments to confer the authority and jurisdiction to our Sheriff's Department by an adoption of an ordinance, contract, or other written agreement. So it would permit the IGA that is in place to take effect, or any other municipality to adopt an ordinance. We also have some existing IGAs for this type of service, so those will automatically take effect. So with those two small changes, that is the second reading of this ordinance.
Okay, thank you, Counselor. Questions for the County Attorney?
I have none, thank you.
I have none. Thank you, Counselor. Very much appreciated. Let's go ahead and open up for public comment. Is there anyone who would like to make public comment on the second and final reading of the amended ordinance? Jill, come on forward. Now, Jill, you're not a stranger to the board, but please do give us your name and tell us where you're from.
Thank you, Jeff Garcia, for being so literate with law. I approve. I am so glad that we're protecting our police officers. This is a crisis unparalleled in our nation, and they're filtering guns, and they've taken over our food supply chain, Tren de Aragua, and they're filtering guns into migrant shelters that our government is paying $1,800 for migrant families in New York, non-visas or non-green cards to work. So yes, let's protect our beautiful men that protect us at the cost of sometimes their families and their futures, and give their lives for the freedom we enjoy, that flag that waves within me and my children serving in the United States Air Force, protecting the airways. Let's protect the roads and our people's homes, and the good men that protect, and the women that give law and lives to this beautiful county. I would don't second the motion, I'm not a commissioner, sorry. I would just purport that we do protect, and I would double the funds, I would triple the funds, I would quadruple the funds, as we're giving lots of money to rides and lifts and other things. I would quadruple that number if that's possible. I would pull from some other events so that our events are safe, and put about 200,000 initially on that, because it's a crisis and our men are so beautiful.
All right, thank you, Jill. Very much appreciate your comments. Is there anyone else who'd like to make public comment on this matter? Seeing none in the room, Troy, do we have anybody online who would like to make public comment?
And we have no online comments.
All right, thank you, Troy. Turning it back to the board for action.
I have a motion to approve second and final reading for the amended ordinance to limit the unloading of commercially transported passengers in unincorporated Douglas County, Colorado.
I will second. Any discussion?
Is it okay that it still says unincorporated Douglas County since we're adding Castle Rock?
I believe there will be a change to the title.
Okay.
So it
it's
should just say Douglas County. I apologize.
Okay, so I will reread that motion. I have a motion to approve second and final reading for the amended ordinance to limit the unloading of commercially transported passengers in Douglas County, Colorado.
I will still second. Discussion.
I have none.
I think this is great. Jeff, thanks for doing the work on this one, to be responsive to the municipalities here in the county who wanted to participate with the county in this measure, but they felt like they had issues of authority, liability, how to task their already pressed police forces, and I very much appreciate the sheriff, of course, for helping us figure out how we could work with our municipalities on this measure. And there is a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I have none.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And the ordinance passes on second and final reading. All right, that's our agenda for today. Our next land use meeting and public hearing will be held on Tuesday, August 13th, 2024 at 2:30 p.m. We are adjourned.